Our musician, John Johns, and Pastor Corey Wagenfield and I, and actually some of the people in this room, were on the last trip that we just took in March, and we were so moved by the people, by the land, by the music, by the food, by the stories. The list just goes on and on, that before we ever even left the Holy Land, we knew that we wanted to go back. And so we're so excited that Tony Abuleta is here with us tonight from Good Shepherd Travel, and he's going to tell us all kinds of good stuff. So could we begin with a word of prayer? Good and gracious God, we thank you for all of your good gifts, and on this Sunday, we thank you for moments to be together tonight to hear about the stories from the place where you met us in humanity. Please bless our time tonight. Continue to stir your love through the power of the Holy Spirit in our hearts. Amen. Please welcome Tony. Yeah, you can clap for him. That's okay. Yeah.
The more you clap, the more pressure I have, so you don't have to clap too much. I thank you all for being here. Thank you, Pastor Lowell, Pastor Corey, for inviting me here and trusting us to organize this beautiful trip for you. My name is Tony Abuleta. I'm the owner and founder of Good Shepherd Travel. We organize these groups, especially to the Holy Land, the religious groups, and also to Europe. We specialize in the Holy Land for a couple reasons. One, I am from Bethlehem. I'm from the Holy Land. I am a Palestinian Christian. Grew up here in the States, and the Good Shepherd Travel was born for us to be able to help maintain Christian presence in the Holy Land. In 1990, when I left the Holy Land, we, as Christian community in the Holy Land, represented close to 20% of the population between the Muslims and Jews. Unfortunately, after the year 2000, the Second Intifada, where a lot of restrictions, a lot of political tension was a reason for a lot of the Christian community to immigrate. And today we are actually left with 1.5% of the population as the local Christian communities. So it's very hard for the Christian community there to be able to get their hands on jobs because they are the minority within a minority. So Good Shepherd Travel, main focus is to take you over to the Holy Land, employ the local Christian community, whether they're guides, bus drivers, hotels, restaurants, as well as be able to immerse yourself with the culture and with the people as well. So you're not just going there on a traditional pilgrimage where you will just visit some of the beautiful holy sites, but you also get to enjoy some of the local culture and the people as well. So this is a very, very special trip. Everyone that involved into the pilgrimage would be someone I know on a personal level, whether through the cooperation or through family, because like I said, we're one family pretty much over there as a Christian community goes. So the quality tends to be very, very good. Thanks be to God, we have been very successful, and you are able to, if you don't believe me, look at the reviews we have. So, all right. So what we want to make sure to achieve tonight is to answer any and all questions that you may have. For you who have traveled to the Middle East before, you might already have that information, but for those who have not yet traveled, I want to make sure we want to give you as much information so you can prepare for your trip. And so by preparing, you need to know what to expect. How is the weather? How is the currency? What electricity that you use over there, the type of people, what we dress, All of those questions we'll be happy to answer and make sure that we don't leave anything out. And if you think of any question, it doesn't matter how silly you think it is, but it's a valid question because others are probably thinking the same thing. This is, they're making me nervous, man. I'm not usually this serious up here. All right. So for those who have picked up the brochure, my arm's still sore because Pastor Corey and Pastor Lowell twisted my arm for this price. A lot. For the package that you will be receiving, actually the trip date is March 4th through the 14th, so it's going to be actually during Lent of 2024. It's going to be a beautiful time. You're already preparing for the resurrection, but imagine preparing for the resurrection in the Holy Land. So that's a very, very special time for you to be there. Weather-wise, it's perfect. And I'm not sure how you got me to get me these dates, man. Those are good dates. Package is going to include 11 days, including the travel. It's going to be 9 nights on the ground, 9.5 days on the ground, which is much better than what they got in March, just up front, The package price will include, I would say everything except for, what are we not including here? I think tips for guide and driver. We're not including personal expense. You guys are on your own with the gifts. We're not going to buy you gifts. It's not going to include travel insurance. And obviously drinks, soft drinks, alcoholic beverages, all of that good stuff. But everything else is included. So if you pay the $41.90 today, or 90 days before the trip, you don't have to worry about anything other than those 3 things that are not included. And there are no hidden excursions or things that we will add on when you get there. You will have a professional licensed Christian tour guide. I already have one picked out for you, and he's one of the best. So you will have the guide from the minute you arrive until you are on the way back home. The driver, the same thing. You will have them throughout the whole trip. The sites, we will have 9 nights on the ground. We'll have 3 nights in Galilee. And this is the map. And I'll go over the map a little bit here. So we'll have 3 nights in Galilee, and every day you'll go from one site to the next. And then 6 nights in Bethlehem, where we would do daily excursions to different places throughout the whole trip. And this will cover geographically the steps of Jesus. So typically what I'll do is go through the What to Know Before You Go packet. And this is a 13-page informational packet that covers all kinds of really important information, very helpful hints, many things that to look for. So I usually read it word for word for you, but not tonight. Not tonight. I'll go in and highlight a few things that usually raise questions. I will try not to take too much time, and then after that, open it up for questions for you. I'm not sure. Do you want to play that video, or it's not necessary?
Yeah, do you want to play that at the beginning?
I'm fine. If you want to do that, yeah. We'll put it on.
Well, we've made it. Our 8th day of touring, climaxing here at the Garden Tomb, the empty tomb that's still empty today, the very foundation of our faith that Christ is risen from the dead. It was worth everything we had to go through, the testing, the extra things that we had to do. We not only got in, but when we arrived, there were no crowds. And with that in mind, it is a perfect time to plan your trip. Come to Israel. This is our 5th journey in 12 years coming to this land, and we actually have made the journey with even other companies. But I have found last trip and this trip that no one does a better job than Tony at Good Shepherd Travel. Get to Israel. There's so much to see. As you begin to look at the Sea of Galilee and all that took place there in the ministry of Jesus, as you go to Bethlehem and we think of his birth and the shepherd's field, as you go then and see the oldest city in the world and the Dead Sea and the lowest place in the world, when you come up to Jerusalem, the holy city of all cities, and so much that took place here, and most of all that we think about our Lord and our Savior as it was here that he was crucified, that he died, that he rose again the 3rd day, it will be such an incremental increase in where you've been reading things in black and white and just mere words. It becomes living color. So make the trip. It's worth the effort. Come back to Israel. It is the land where everything began, the land where everything will continue, and the time in the future when our Lord Jesus Christ will come back again to the Mount of Olives. Come back to Israel. You'll never regret it.
Believe it or not, that's not scripted. I don't know, every time I watch it, I think he just did a phenomenal job. Something Pastor, both of you guys have to work on something.
Corey's got it.
Okay, all right. Awesome. Something that Pastor Welch mentioned, all the testing that they had to go through. Now, he traveled last October during, obviously, the pandemic. We're one of the few companies who operated groups in 21. We actually, in 21. Our first group was Pastor Martin and Angela Zimmern. They led a group in July of 20. And as you could remember, last July, things were kind of touch and go. So he led a group in October. They did have to go through all kinds of testing. However, all those testing requirements have been lifted since March. So no more COVID vaccine, no more testing, going or coming back. The only thing you need really is a valid passport. So that, just want to get that out of the way so you don't have to worry about that. So what to know before you go, we would want to go through pretty much some of the things that will help you prepare for the trip, whether it's spiritually or mentally or physically. We want to give you just helpful information so that way you know what to expect. And I'm sure we will have another meeting or two before the trip, because the way I see it is the more you know about the place you're visiting, the better you prepared you are, the more you're going to enjoy it. So this is the whole idea behind what to know before you go. So physically, the Holy Land is demanding more than what we're accustomed to here. For example, a lot of the places where you visit, they're not accessible by bus, so you would have to walk from the bus to the site. The walk might not be that far, but sometimes it's uphill, downhill, stairs, things like to that nature. So what we encourage everyone is to prepare yourself physically. It's by you leave tonight, you go look at the first, look at gym memberships in the area and start working out. No, that's too much. Okay, sorry. No, you just need to prepare yourself. I would say maybe do some walking a few months before the trip, just so you can get your body to a level where you can tolerate a 1-2 mile a day walk without discomfort. And all of that's going to do just kind of, when you get back to the hotel, you are not in any pain. So no need for gym membership. Physically, this is what we recommend for you. Spiritually, we recommend for you to read the Gospels. Pastor has some really nice books in the back. Some will help you have a better idea of what to expect in the Holy Land. You have to understand, to be walking in the footsteps of Jesus is the most powerful thing that you will ever experience. For you to be prepared for you to receive that special gift is very something very important for you to do. I'm born and raised in Bethlehem, but I was not prepared when I went for my first pilgrimage for all that information for us to receive. So I'm just telling you based on personal experience. Although I was born in Bethlehem, it wasn't that special for me, and I didn't understand what it meant to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. So for you to be on the shores of Galilee, or on the River Jordan, or in Cana of Galilee, where you got, the first miracle, these are very powerful moments that will shed light on a lot of things that you've heard about and learned about throughout your whole life. So it is very important for you, if you brush up on the Gospels, the main one would be Luke, for you to be able to kind of understand more about what he was saying about the Holy Land. Information, final packet will be mailed out here, we say 2 to 3 weeks before the trip, but we actually send it out about 4 to 5 weeks before. What I mean by the final confirmation packet, you will receive the tickets, the hotel confirmation. You see everybody wearing name badges, you will get those. You also have backpacks, all kinds of good stuff, luggage tags. We have all of that will be sent out about 4 to 5 weeks before. And security, I know in the last, this is here talking about at the airport. At the airport, it's like a regular domestic departure, so you just make sure you don't have any liquids and all of that good stuff. But we will talk about the other security a little bit later. International flights, so far we did not secure flights out of CVG in Cincinnati. We will be securing those here in the next couple months. Just understand that CVG is not the best airport to fly out of, just because it's not that many options. We're gonna try our best to have one connection. Typically is what we go for. So you might be flying from Cincinnati to Newark, which most likely that will be the case. Excuse me, and then Newark to Tel Aviv. That's where our last group flew from. But we will update you with that information once we get it. Any type of deviations, going a day before or after, or coming a day later, just let us know in advance, and we can document and let you know what would that look like. Also, if you need any type of upgrade as well, just let us know in advance, and we can work on that for you. International flights, just the main thing we recommend is just for you to be at the airport minimum 3 hours before. If this was in July or this year, I would have said 5 hours before. That was crazy during the summer, but all of that kind of settled down right now. Things are kind of are heading towards normalcy for the most part. It was all kinds of nightmares during the summer.
If you wherever we're flying in, that's the international airport, right, the CVG?
Correct, but what we still want you to be, even though the domestic airport is not you know, your main, we still want you to be there. So what happens is, a lot of times if you arrive, let's say an hour before, which, you know, today when I flew up here, I was at the airport at, what, like 12 o'clock. My flight is at 12:40. You know, I mean, I don't need to, but when you travel internationally, your connection flight is very important. If you're there, you know, hour before, and there's any type of delays or cancellations, there's very little window for you to make alternative arrangements. But if you're there 3 hours before, there's plenty of time for you to shift things around, and if we need to. Health precautions, as we said, there are no inoculations needed. There are few recommendations by the CDC. Hepatitis A, tetanus shots are recommended by the CDC, but you would check with primary care and they will tell you if you need to get it or not. Nothing that you have to have for your trip. All right, travel warnings. We tell you to check the State Department's website for updates. Just to give you a little bit of peace of mind, we are communicating with our people back there daily, 4 or 5 times a day, typically. Any type of instability or any type of danger, we are always on top of everything. Last week we had a group that was supposed to visit Nablus, Jacob's Well, which had some tension. And so we just decided to cut that out of the program entirely, just so we don't have any issues there. So we will do everything in our power to minimize the risk for the group. As you could imagine, you guys are a huge liability for us. And not to say it like, you know, but we don't want any type of issues for you to have any kind of bad experiences, because all of that is not good for anyone. So travel warning, it's been in the State Department website since, I don't know how, since probably the 40s and 50s. So, but they periodically update that information regularly. If you have any doubt, reach out to us. We'll be happy to calm you down. So, arrival procedure. When you arrive in Tel Aviv, as you could imagine, when you arrive to any international destination, you have to go through passport control. That area is secure. No one really can get past that area. But as soon as you clear passport control, you will meet a representative that we hire as a third-party company that has they will have security clearance to be back there. They will have a sign. They will gather the group, take you to get your luggage. After getting your luggage, they will take you to meet your guide. And once you're with your guide, you know, like I said, they will be with you throughout the whole trip. So it's very easy. It's very rare that we lose anybody. We'd lose more people in the shopping stores than at the airport. Luggage, when you travel internationally, you'll have one piece of luggage, one carry-on, and one personal item. Personal item could be like a purse, a backpack, anything that you can fit in the front, and then like a checked luggage and a carry-on you can put over your head bin. You know, if you want to bring more, you're going to have to pay for it. So it's not included in the package. How to overcome jet lag. We have a little here I need to rewrite because it haven't worked for me. Transportation. In the Holy Land, you'll be transported via private bus or coach. This is going to be just for your group. No one allowed on or off that bus without the guide or the driver's permission. So, and believe me, those drivers are very, very protective over their buses. So if you leave your purse on the bus, or if you need if you leave any personal items on there, you better know that it will not be touched. Money and currency exchange, for those who have traveled to the Holy Land before, know that almost everything there is priced in US dollar, so you don't have to convert your money into new Israeli shekel, which is the local currency, because everything is priced in US dollar, whether it's juice, coffee, or whatever it is that you want. It's going to be priced in US dollar. So you are more than welcome to convert, but it's not going to benefit you whatsoever. Tipping for tour escort and bus driver, we have recommendation here. The reason why we highlight some of these things is because the tour guide will make or break a trip. It's 90% of the experience. So we want to make sure that you are aware of that, and tipping is part of their salary. I mean, they get paid really good, don't get me wrong, but they are not only guides that will explain about the site, but they're also there to make sure you're well fed, you're taken care of, you're healthy, safe, and you have everything you need. So they're the go-to person to make sure that you are well taken care of. And we give you recommendation, but we ask that you tip based on your means and your level of service. But we put the recommendation here for for you to have. Hotel accommodations, as we talked about earlier, we use 2 hotels. We use one hotel in the Galilee for 3 nights, and then we use one hotel in Bethlehem for 6 nights. And that's when the map kind of gets handy, just so you understand a little bit more about logistics. All right, here's the whole country. So the whole country is from north to south, so roughly about 350 miles, which it's not that big, very small. East to west, it's 80 miles, all right? Now, we cover pretty much from the mid-side to about here. So if you flip it around, it'll show you that portion where we will be visiting. As you can see, Galilee, it's right here. Tel Aviv is somewhere right here. So from here to here, it's roughly 120 kilometers. That's about 80 miles or so. So that, when you arrive in Tel Aviv, you'll drive to Galilee, which is with traffic about 2 hours. And then for 3 nights, you'll stay here and you'll visit all the sites here, everywhere pretty much. You'll go visit 4 or 5 sites a day, and then you come back, retire for the night. And then we will head south to Bethlehem, and from there we'll visit all the sites around Bethlehem area. We don't spend too much time on the bus as far as like distance-wise. We do get from one point A to point B on the bus for the most part. So very nice map, very helpful for you. And not sure when y'all went in March, how many hotels did you stay at? Is it 2 or 3? 3. In Tel Aviv. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times the companies, when they organize the one night in Tel Aviv, you have multiple people coming on multiple different flights. It's easier for them. But for us, it's easier just to take you directly to the first hotel so you don't have to pack and unpack and all that good stuff. But hotels are going to be good, excellent 4-star hotels. We don't use fancy hotels. We use clean, good location, and great food menu, or You know, that's what we focus on. We don't focus on looks and, you know, they're excellent hotels by any means, but like they're not luxurious. So good like maybe Marriott's, Hilton's, something like that. So electricity in the Holy Land, they use 220 volts, the electricity that comes from the wall. As you could imagine, here in the States, we use 110 volts. So in order for you to plug anything in their wall, you want to make sure that it could accept both 110 and 240. Now, the good thing is that almost all light electronics or cell phones and laptops, iPads, all of those have built-in converters, so they will accept both 110 to 120. And so, but all you need is an adapter. And the adapter is to adapt the plug for the wall, which we have some back there for you to see as an example. But this is called an adapter. And this helps you plug this side into the wall there, and then your American plug goes in the back of it. This does not convert electricity. So if you're planning on taking anything that requires converting, this will not work. You need to get a converter. Like hair dryers. What is it? Hair dryers. Yep, hair dryers, definitely. Curling iron. No, this does not convert electricity. This only adapts. It adapts to the wall. And then, like your cell phone, this is fine. Your laptop, this is also fine. But if you're taking, like say, a curling iron or a hair dryer, most likely you will need a converter that will convert your electricity from 220 to 110.
Tony, we put together a little guide for some of these things that we'll give out to everyone, but like we have a little guide that will tell you these are the items that you need the converter for, this is the ones you need the adapter for, and then we have given them a few suggestions on Amazon of where to pick them up and which one is which. So we'll make sure that everyone knows what you need and where to get it.
Absolutely, thank you. That's definitely very helpful. We understand this as, you know, for a lot of people, it's, you know, it's anxious to travel, like, you know, but we will cover anything you need, whether now or 6 months from now. We're still going to be available for you to answer all your questions. So telephone, we talk about the phones here, but it needs to be updated. Mainly, I want to talk about cell phones. With cell phone, you will be able to use your cell phone abroad. Just make sure you contact your service provider, see what type of international coverage you will have, unless you only need Wi-Fi to use your phone for FaceTime or messaging or whatever. Most of the time, you will have access to free Wi-Fi at the airports, on the bus, at the hotels, at the restaurants. So everywhere pretty much you will go, you will have access to free Wi-Fi. So if it's not that important to you, then don't even bother with it. Put your phone on airplane mode when you get there and just use Wi-Fi that is free, available for free for you to use. So some service provider will offer you daily plans. Some will give you you know, like per use. Just contact your service provider and they can tell you what's best for you. Terrain, as we talked about earlier, the Holy Land is not a flat surface. Many hills, many valleys, some steps that you have to go up or down. Now, you don't have to participate in every experience. However, you know, if there is any type of extra physical requirement, that you may not want to participate in, you could always stay back on the bus, be dropped off at a coffee shop or be in a coffee shop nearby. And that's just a suggestion. A lot of times people think that, you know, they have to do something even if they're not comfortable doing it. Just know that you don't have to do that. So that's pretty good. Local customs. Now in the Holy Land, just so you understand a little bit, I don't know if you're familiar with Jerusalem, like the people have been making pilgrimages to Jerusalem for thousands of years, even before Jesus. I don't know if that area has been used to pilgrims for thousands of years. The locals there, especially the Christian community, when they see you as a pilgrim. They don't see you as a tourist. You know, you're not there to sightsee or just to, you know, kind of hit the beaches and do all the touristy stuff. They know that you're there to fulfill your religious duties. And this is something they highly, highly respect. And you will see that in how they are treating you. They're not treating you as, like I said, as a visitor or as a tourist. They try to do everything in their power to make your trip memorable. Now, not everybody. Of course, you're going to have some who are looking at you as just dollar signs, you know, and those people that we don't affiliate with, but you're going to encounter them on the streets. The guide will be able to tell you the day before what to expect the following day. When you reach the old city of Jerusalem, the guide will explain to you what you would need for that day, like when you are going through the streets. If you're visiting the Temple Mount, for example, you cannot show, you know, like religious symbols. You have to take it out. You can't have iPads. They will explain all of that to you, so that way you're not showing up and, you know, surprised you can't go in, you know. Sleeveless shirts, for example, they are not allowed at certain religious sites. So the day before, they will tell you, hey, bring a light jacket or bring a scarf with you, so that way, you know, you don't end up wearing something that thousands of pilgrims wore before, because they will have, you know, shawls handy of when you arrive at the churches that require modest clothing. So, but all of that information will be like given to you the night before or the day of, or, you know, so you're not gonna be blindsided. Shopping, a couple reasons why we mentioned shopping. I know you mentioned going to Bethlehem for a few hours, and then you ended up doing some shopping there. Shopping is very important for you when you go in there, because you want to bring back some gifts to your loved ones. However, we discourage pilgrims to shop at every site we go, just for the simple fact that we don't have as much time to cover all the sites if we have to pull people off of shops from every place we travel. However, we give you time to visit a Christian cooperative in Bethlehem for you to do the majority of your shopping there, to help support the local Christian community. We also give you some time in the old city in Jerusalem, because you want to have that experience. And we understand that. We're not going to keep it from you, but we want it to control, just so we don't have to, you know, miss a site because, you know, somebody likes to buy gifts. So like I said, we give you this information because it happened before, where we have to be at some place at 1 o'clock, and we make it there at 1:05, and that will take away from that visit. So that's one of the things about shopping. Meals, food. All right, so the reason why we only mention breakfast and dinner is because majority of the groups only get breakfast and dinner. Lunches are typically on your own. However, my arm still hurt. Pastor Lowell, he wanted to make sure you guys are well fed. So he's like, man, we want lunches there too. So lunches are also included. So breakfast and dinner will be served at the hotels. In the morning, you'll have breakfast, full buffet, all kinds of good stuff like salads, hummus, eggs, just lots of options. It's not a continental buffet. It's a full, like Mediterranean buffet. The same goes for dinner. So each different places. And then lunches, it depends on where you are that particular day. Let's say if you're in Nazareth, the guide is from Nazareth. He will take you to his favorite restaurant. So you will eat really, really good. And I guarantee you, you'll come back, you lose pounds, even though you eat really good, but you lose because it's healthy. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included, and it's really a perfect time. I think you're gonna have lots of great fresh foods over there. Believe it or not, there's something y'all might not know this, but the hotels, like when they make the meals, every morning they get fresh produce. Every morning they get delivered eggs, meats, every morning. It's all fresh, nothing is frozen. So just so you know how serious it is over there. Tap water, we discourage against you consuming tap water, not because it's dirty. It's the different microbacteria in it, it will affect your digestive system. So we instruct the hotels, restaurants, all to make sure that your table has bottled water on it when you're sitting down for a meal. Whether it's, like I said, hotels or at the restaurants, you will have bottled water available. March weather here says 51 is the low and 67 is high. And I think we're using Jerusalem as an example. Jerusalem's tend to be 800 feet above sea level, so it's higher elevation, so it's typically cooler. In Galilee, you would look at probably between mid-70s to mid-80s during the highs. Lows is going to be probably like mid-60s in Galilee. Bethlehem and Jerusalem, it'll be like 5-10 degrees cooler. But it'll be very pleasant. It's very similar probably here. So. Language. The official language in the Holy Land is Arabic and Hebrew. Okay, those are the two official languages. However, English is widely spoken. Even lots of signs are in English. Lots of explanations at the holy sites are in English. It's, like I said, it's one of the commonly spoken languages there. Anyone will probably, even street vendors will speak English, so you'll not have any issue communicating. Passports. All passport, to go to Israel, all your passport has to be valid 6 months from the date of return. So date of return is March 14th, so your passport must be valid till September 14 of 2024 in order for it to be considered valid. So check your passport, make sure that you have a valid passport. You don't have to have a valid passport to register. You can register, renew your passport, and then just make sure you submit a copy to us once you have your updated passport. You do not need a visa to go to Israel. You will get a visa upon arrival there. Wi-Fi, as we mentioned, it's available free of charge pretty much throughout the whole trip. All right. Clothing, we have recommendation for you what to pack in clothing. We're not going to go through that. Suggested items, Pastor Corey said they will pass out some suggestions as well, but here we suggest adapters, Bible, camera, journal. Journal is very important. Mini flashlight it will come in handy, especially if you wanted to see in some dark areas. You can take your cameras just about anywhere. You can take pictures anywhere. The only place that's forbidden is going to be secure areas and inside the tomb. Inside the tomb is forbidden. Sunglasses definitely comes in handy. Okay. What if frequently asked questions page here? So it's helpful information for you to go through. There's also before you travel checklist. There's a few months before checklist. There's a few weeks before checklist and a day of. Please, please, please look at that checklist. Don't arrive at the airport and call me. Tell me I forgot my passport. I can't do nothing for you. And I think the last 2 pages talk about travel insurance. Travel insurance is definitely something that is highly, highly recommended. It's not something you have to get, but it is highly recommended. 95% of our people who buy it don't use it. Okay, it's just like your homeowner's insurance. You pay for 10 years, and then, you don't need it, but then, you need to replace a roof or something. It's good to have. The same thing with travel insurance. Actually, I have a lady who tested positive in the Holy Land right now. So there's no testing, but she tested because she wanted to. However, she chose to isolate, the tour leader made her isolate because she tested, and she ended up staying there 3 extra days. Luckily, she has insurance. And so she called me today, said, Tony, I'm ready to go back. I tested negative today, and I want to come back tomorrow. And so I booked her ticket. When she come back, she'll file a claim and submit all the information to the insurance, and she should be able to get reimbursed. Now, her extra 3 days of stay with the tickets and everything, she's looking about $2,500. She paid like $300 for insurance policy. That's a very good investment. But that's 1 out of 36 people. That's why I said not everybody needs it, but it's good to have, God forbid, in case you need it. This is it for me. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, and please don't go easy on me. I want to make my trip well worth it for you. Did I show you the adapters? Okay. We'll provide you with 1 adapter per person. So these are something that we also provide for you. Yes, ma'am.
How big are the converters, like for a hairdryer?
The converter, they're not that big. They come in many different sizes, but roughly about, let's say, 2 inch by 3 inch, something like that. So, but yeah, and you have you will have access to hair dryers at the hotels. The hotels will use, but some people have the fancy ones, so they don't have the fancy ones over there. Yes, ma'am.
What's the maximum size of the group that would travel, and how many people are signed up for this tour already? How many spaces are left?
So we don't usually set a minimum or maximum. Okay, so each group is going to be independent unless pastor chooses otherwise. If you want to bring Pastor Corey with him with his congregation, that's on them. So that being said, the only issue we will have, I think, is leaving out of Cincinnati. I don't think that we'll be able to secure any more than 40 seats out of Cincinnati. And so that would be probably our maximum.
And if someone wanted to join the group who lived, let's say, in Dallas,
Not a problem. Just need to let us know, and we can arrange. Or either we can arrange, or they can arrange themselves. So all of our packages will include an airline credit. So if you're on page 3 of the brochure, there's air routing. Here, an airline credit of $1,050 will be given to those passengers who arrange their own airfare. So if you choose to, or if you have friends who are in Dallas or in New York or wherever, they will take that $1,050 deducted from their fare and charge them the difference or refund. They can, or we can do it. We want to give you as much flexibility as you possibly can, just so you don't feel that you're trapped. Just like with the travel insurance, we'll offer you a quote upon registration. But if you've used AAA before, you can go with AAA. Or if you used whatever company before and you're happy with them, you're free to do that. Very good questions. Yes?
Do you have like ages, like a minimum age or requirement?
No. Any age, pretty much. Our youngest was 3. Our oldest was 92. So anywhere in between. Obviously, the younger they are, the parents' job to understand that this is a group exercise. So we cannot, we try our best not to, when we're organizing any activities, we want to make sure that everyone's is in the picture and make sure that we're not taking, anything for granted. But definitely, I had a group a couple weeks ago. They had a teenager, and he was an inspiration to the whole group. Just how passionate he was about the whole experience. And so we recommend, for you to bring teenagers and young people.
And then I was also going to ask, is there a deadline to sign up? Like, what's the kind of time frame?
So we don't usually put a deadline, but as I mentioned, we will have limited seats going out of Cincinnati. So we're not going to be able to put a maximum, and not yet, we can't, but the sooner the better. So we do have one deadline that we cannot guarantee the price after, which is 90 days before, and that's also on page 3, which has the deposits and payments. Reservation received after December 4th of 2023 may incur additional charges. And that's December, probably like 1 year from this December. So.
How do you actually sign up to do this?
So you have 2 ways to sign up. You can sign up using the paper or the last page of the brochure, which is a registration form, or you can go online if you have the little quick reference code or QR code. You can scan that and register online as well. So, very good questions. They're not making it easy, man. I like that. Did you have? No? Yes, ma'am.
when will you know the names of the hotels that you'll be using?
I can probably already give you, we have like 2-3 hotels in Galilee that we use often, and 2-3 hotels in Bethlehem that we use often. So Galilee, we'll use a hotel named Golan Hotel, which is a little bit on the hill of overseeing the Sea of Galilee. And there's the one in Bethlehem we use is Paradise Premium Hotel, which is about 10-minute walk from the Church of Nativity. So those are typically the 2 hotels we use.
So how do you make sure like the 2 of us are in the same room?
On the back, on the application, it does ask if you know your roommate. You can give us the name of the roommate, and that also can be changed and amended even a few days before the trip. So it's not. You can definitely change. Go ahead.
So you put the $500 down.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I pay the rest? Do I just send a check to this group?
You can.
Travel, what happens if I put it on the visa?
Now, anything past the deposit on the visa will incur a 4% surcharge. So let's say you pay the deposit on a credit card, we don't charge you surcharge. We're waiving the surcharge fee on the online or credit card deposit. But anything past that, there will be a 4% surcharge. And you can make as many or as little payments as you wish. We don't require anything until 6 months before the trip, and then the final payment is due 3 months before the trip. So
how do you know that if we write you out a check, say $500 Columbus to go on our trip, what are we sending you to let you know that that's?
just if your name is not on the check, just send us a note. But if your name is on the check, then that's all we need.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is it possible to have like 3 people in a room?
Yes.
Or is it possible to have like a group of, like what if it was like a husband and wife and 2 kids? You obviously don't want them in the same private house. Is it possible to have like 4 people in a room?
Very, very good question. So rooms, the way they are set up there is either double, which will have 1 bed for 2 people, or twin, which will have 2 beds for 2 people, or a triple, which will have 3 beds for 3 people. Now, when we have families, a lot of times there's not going to be like a room for a family. So we'll have either 2 rooms side by side with a joining door, and that's what we will probably end up booking for you. So, is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Any more questions? I think 3 is enough for tonight. Okay, no, I'm joking. No, you can ask as many as you like. Go ahead.
Do you have bottled water available on the bus?
Yes. Part of the driver's hustle is that he will have bottled water available. He has a little refrigerator in the front of the cabin, and then he will make sure that he will put some in there. And it's usually charge $1 per bottle. So you can drop, let's say, $10 in there if you want to grab 1 bottle a day for the next 10 days. It's not like that he's sitting there writing names. It's just an honorary system that they have. They have a little, like a basket where you just drop it. Yeah. Good. Yes, sir. Oh, they major highways. I mean, well, depending on which way we go. We can go through the coastal line, and that's one way to go. And that has a new highway, Highway 6. It's like a 4-lane highway. And there's also the eastern side. You can go through the Jordan Valley, but that one is mainly like one way there and one way back, or one road there and one road back. But it's very, very easy to navigate. I mean, they have very decent roads over there. Very good question.
What time do you typically start your day, like breakfast and then tours, and what time do you do dinner?
Very good question. The question is, what time does the day start and what time the day ends? Is a very loaded question because each day is different, especially what you're expecting the following day. I'll give you on average, you will leave the hotel at 8 a.m. and come back to the hotel about 5 to 6 p.m. And that's a typical day. Breakfast probably will be served. They will, you have to understand, like in the Holy Land, these hotels are accustomed to 15, 20 different groups in their hotel at the same time. So they will break up these groups to certain slots of the morning for them to have breakfast. Now, our group will have a designated area for them in the dining room, whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You will arrive to the dining room area, you'll see your tables already set up for your group. They already know how many people. They have all of that already in advance. So you'll have your dedicated section. They could be set up between 7 and 7:30 for you to depart the hotel at 8. And then your dinner will probably be served between 6:30 and 7, depending on which day it is. That will give you enough time, to get to your room, maybe change, maybe call home, and then you're ready for dinner. After dinner, obviously you'll have the option to have social hour afterwards at the bar, because all the hotels will have bars. And then, or you can walk, or you can relax, whatever it is that you want to do. After that, you're on your own. And lunch depends on which day. It could be between 12:30 and 1, so it just depends. And the guide will pre-plan for that lunch to make sure that the time is not wasted for you to arrive and then prepare. All of that, it will be pre-coordinated with the guide.
How long does it take to fly there?
To fly there, it's about 12 hours, give or take, depending on the layovers too. So, but flying time is about 12 hours. Very good.
Tony, could you just say a couple things? I think a lot of the folks here are Lutherans. Could you say a little bit about the Lutheran things that we'll see there?
Absolutely.
Especially there's some people that went on this last trip, and so these will be different.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have a great relationship with the ELCJHL of the Holy Land. So we will be able to give you a tour of the Lutheran schools. You will have worship at a local Lutheran church, as well as visit some Lutheran World Federation places where they have where you will support throughout the whole years, like Augusta Victoria, for example, hospital in Jerusalem on Mount of Olives. That's a very important place that is designated there to give free health care to Palestinians who are don't have good income, and it's the only place I think they have where they are able to receive chemotherapy in the whole country. So it's Augusta Victoria is definitely a place where we would take you and have you visit and understand their important role into the lives of the locals there, whether they're Christian or Muslims. And the schools the same way. The system, Lutheran, they are pretty much a minority in the Christian community in the Holy Land, but they are a majority when it comes to education. I think we have 6 Lutheran schools in the West Bank, which is very, very good. My brothers actually graduated from the Lutheran school in Beit Sahur, which is the House of the Shepherds, which is my hometown. And my sister actually, she taught there too. So there's a huge relationship that we cherish with the local Christian community there in the Holy Land, especially the ELCJHL, which you will be able to see and firsthand understand the importance of having the Christian presence in the Holy Land. So, yes, sir. Yes, the price, we don't change the price until 90 days before departure, or until we determine that the trip is sold out based on the available space that we are able to secure from the airline. So whichever comes first is going to be the determining factor of the cost of the price. Because if we only can get like 40 seats and we get 41 people, that one person is going to probably pay extra to be accommodated. I don't like to leave something like that in the air, but at the same time, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible with you, so you understand. It's not easy to organize a group. I mean, it's easy, but it's not at the same time, because there's so many loose parts, so many things that we have to organize. We tell people, when it comes to the land, okay, we can move mountains, literally. But when it comes to the airlines, we can't even move your seat. So just get that out of the way. So, very good questions. Any more? Okay. She get to stay in the back of the bus. I'm telling you. No. I'm sorry. I gotta feel a little comfortable here. I gotta pick on somebody for me to feel like, comfortable. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I really can't remember. What were you just talking about?
I forgot. No, about the deadlines, prices, the Lutheran schools, church. Okay, all right. Perfect. Any more? By the way, the guide's English is excellent. Just to give you that. I've been here for 30 years and I still have accent. So I think it has a lot to do where I live now in Texas. So that has a lot to do with it. But
We have a much more southern accent. Do I recall, maybe not the whole, but did we leave from here on a bus? Or do we have to get ourselves to the airport?
We'll figure all that out, but we'll caravan. We went out of Columbus, and we caravaned up there, and then we parked some vehicles, and some vehicles came back, and yeah, so we'll figure that out. You don't have to worry about parking a vehicle at CBG for a week and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
go ahead.
March is probably not a real busy time for a lot of people visiting, but even if it is, since we're with the tour, do we go early in the morning to kind of avoid the crowds, or is there?
The guides are very good about avoiding lines for the most part. And this past October, November, the Holy Land received higher number of pilgrims since 2019. Even it surpassed the numbers in 2019. And 2019 was a very busy season. So a lot of times the guys will say, you know what, we'll come back. They'll stop at the Nativity Church, they see a 4-hour line, turn around and they go back and they come back, visit the end of the day. Or it's very challenging. March typically is not a high season month. It will be a busier time then, just because of Easter is so close. So the guides are very good about trying to avoid the long lines. And they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve. So just prepare to be up at 4 a.m. So we do have one day that we could do that. That day would be the old city of Jerusalem, where you could leave like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, where you can do like the Via Dolorosa, which is the way of the cross, or the Passion, and then end up in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre before all the crowds, because that's usually the Church of Nativity, Church of the Holy Sepulchre, those are the two most, I guess, where they would form lines, because you're venerating a specific area, like the star that represents the place of Jesus' birthplace, or I don't know, what do you call the little, the room where inside is the tomb.
Where Jesus' body was laid.
Yeah, I don't remember the name. Yeah, but so to go inside that little room, it's actually a room inside of the little room. It's a room inside of a room inside of the church. So to go in there, it's usually a long line. So we have sometimes we have to go and be there a little bit earlier just for you. So and usually we do that on Sunday. That way after that we can do like Redeemer worship with the locals there, because it's right outside of the church in the Sepulchre. Oh yeah, there it is. What is that?
So you go in there, but then there's a room inside
of that.
It's like a one-person experience.
Yes. One, and you only get the 3 seconds there. Unless we take you at 4 a.m, then you can have a little about 5-10 seconds. But yeah, it's a. Yeah, but you have to understand, when you went in March, there was nobody there. So there's a very rare time. I'm glad you had a chance to experience that. I was there first time last July, and never in history that the Holy Land was this empty. Never for that long, despite the wars, despite anything, But thanks be to God, we're over it now and we're back. So very good. You do have some areas that you would worry about, and the guide will let you know in advance. Obviously, you don't want to have, loose purse, just kind of, walking the streets with loose purse or money. When you take out money, just make sure you bring 1s, 5s, and 10s, and not to flash, because, it's a very heavily visited area. So you have to understand, bad people target those areas, whether it's in Jerusalem or in Paris or in New York City. It's the same thing. Just be more vigilant. And like I said, the guide will let you know in advance. Mount of Olives is famous for pickpockets. And the guide will let you know in advance for you not to make sure you are ready in case something happens. Plus, Pastor Lowell will be in the back of the bus, or in the back of the group, so he's ready to chase out.
I've been to Rome and in Italy. You have to be very, very careful about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and I also had a daughter that was blonde hair, blue-eyed, and they loved her, so I spent the whole time
Trying to keep. So the Holy Land is a little bit more content, but there are some areas definitely. I mean, it's like I said, the Mount of Olives. You'll have some people who are trying to sell you maps, who will reach in there and grab, if they have the opportunity to grab whatever's in your wallet, they will do that. In the old city, a lot of the shopkeepers are Muslims. Not to say that all Muslims are bad, but they know they're going to see you this time, they're never going to see you again. So a lot of times, if you buy, let's say, something for $100, they have a way, like if they use a credit card, they have a way to convert, like they can select either US dollar or New Israeli shekel. Okay, so now they tell you $100, it's 350 Israeli shekels. So they type in 350 instead of putting shekels, they put US dollar and swipe your card. And anyway, so that's some of the tricks. But like I said, these things, you will not go in blindfolded. The guide will give you all those information in advance. Will make sure that you are not taken advantage of. The places where we take you, we guarantee it. For example, a couple days ago, I get an email from one of the pastors who was just there. A guy ordered something, a nativity or something, and it was not shipped properly. When he received it, it was broken. And so they emailed us, we emailed the shop, they shipped them a new one. So it's done. So it's not something that you worry about. But if you buy something from a street vendor, God be with you. You're on your own. So, very good. Now you'll have to understand, we operate about 100 groups a year. So this is not our only group that will be there during that time. And it's not the only group that we operated. So it's not something that we have to learn how to manage. This is something that we have the right people on the ground there to make sure that you're getting everything we promised you. Me and Pastor Lowe just talked about a biannual trip. So I want to make sure that we give you the best of the best so I can get his business for the future. So, well, that's pretty much how it works. Any more questions?
Women are not perceived negatively there?
Not at all. Not at all. Like I said, the only thing that you would worry about is wearing a sleeveless shirt, going into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Church of Annunciation, Church of Nativity. Those are the major basilicas or the major sites. They will approach you and ask you to cover up.
You mentioned getting up early and like walking. Something Rosa, what did you call it?
Oh, the Via Dolorosa.
Yeah. Is
Yes.
there like a way to like make sure that we would do that?
Yeah, those. So there's a lot of like automatic like sites. That would be an automatic site, just like the baptismal site, just like the Church of Nativity or Holy Sepulchre. These are must-see sites, and we will not take them out for any reason. So.
Yeah, if you look at the tentative schedule, it's on there. I think you were just talking about getting up early.
Yes,
Like,
to do it.
Before there's anybody out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. No, it'll be on there.
Oh yeah. Good?
Anything else?
Last call.
This is a trip of a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Well, and part of why we wanted to offer this invitation this early is so you can plan, but also you can invite other people. Like some of you were saying, you might have family or friends elsewhere. We had a friend from Finland that flew and joined us, and so those, think about those things who you want to be on this trip with you.
Now this trip is what, almost a year and a half from now. And we already have 20 people like who are interested now. I can almost guarantee you this trip will sell out probably by, I would say, March or April of next year. I can almost...
This church or is it
Corey's
Corey's?
church is going with us.
Okay.
I think, unless we want to vote Corey out.
Can I bring some of my Catholic friends with me?
Yes.
I'm the only Catholic in this whole.
Oh, really?
I'm one of my sisters, so.
Oh, no. So just so you understand that all the sites, they belong to all the faiths. Like we have last week, Pastor Marty had a 30-something. We had another Catholic group that had 30-something people. They visited almost the same sites. The only difference is the traditions. Catholics will celebrate daily Mass, and that's pretty much the only difference between the two groups. Now, if you like to participate in daily Masses, just let your guide know. They will, if they're visiting one site, they will take you to a site where they'll be celebrating. And oh yeah, that's very easy, very easy. That's very easy. So, that part is definitely easily arranged. So, awesome.
Anything else? Corey, you want to close this up?
Yeah, so, oh man.
So just
Hot mic.
Just one last final thing, our contact information. We have excellent staff here in Dallas that will be happy to answer any questions that you have. You need help with registration, you have questions about insurance, payments, whatever. You're welcome to bother Pastor Corey and Pastor Lowell, but I think let them focus on their ministry. So we're here to make sure that we take care of that part. Yes, we will provide you with that information as soon as you register.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we used, I noticed in your packet it mentioned AIG, and that's who we used on our last trip, and really easy process to get that, and it covers all kinds of stuff. If you get sick and have to go to the hospital over there, it's covered. All of that kind of stuff. So what he has listed in that material from AIG is a good one to use. We've used those in the past. So for those of you who I haven't seen in a while or have never met, I'm Pastor Corey Wagenfield. Used to be I used to be a member here first and with my family, and then went off to seminary, then was an intern here for 2 years, and then was ordained a little over 2 years ago, and am now at Resurrection Lutheran Church in Lebanon, Ohio. Woo whoop, yep, we got some representation here today from Lebanon. I'm excited. Lowell and I had a blast on the last trip, and any chance that he and I can get to hang out together, whether it is at a pool or in the Holy Land, we are signing up to do that. So excited to go on this trip. One of the cool things about going with two congregations that have been recently is that we have a lot of experience of things that you should do and things that you shouldn't do out of experience, right? So this last time we went, speaking of things like cell phones, we realized that some people can call their providers and get the daily or the monthly or the weekly or whatever international plan. And then there's also, ways that you can get international SIM cards, and you can actually just put that into your phone and not have to worry about it. And we did all the research, and we thought we had it all figured out and all this stuff together. And then when we get there, we realized that everyone with an Apple phone just couldn't do the whole SIM card thing. And so that's something we learned. And so now we know a lot of these things going forward about some tips and tricks that we know as well from our time there this last year. So excited to share those with you. One of the reasons we're excited to work with Tony and Good Shepherd is nothing bad against our last trip provider. We had a great time, so much so that we want to go back again. But we were not the ones necessarily planning it. We kind of tagged on with Pastor Aaron Lane and his church up in Columbus. And what we're really excited about this time around is the flexibility to be able to really, at each site that we are at, spend a couple of moments really tying it to Scripture. Saying, this is why we're here at this particular spot. Let's read a couple of verses out of the Bible that are going to tie us and let us know why we're standing here. What's the historical and faith perspective of why this is important. So we were able to do that at some places on our last trip, but we're really excited to be able to incorporate that along the trip. It really is, it's more than a sightseeing trip, right? This is, as Tony said, a spiritual pilgrimage. And so we're excited to do that not only while we're on the trip, but Lowell and I tend to be planners. And so leading up, we will have a whole lot of other stuff going on. We'll have opportunities for everyone who's going on the trip to come together and share some food and hang out and talk and get to know one another. We'll have all kinds of informational sessions. We'll have packets of our own information that we send out to you. And then in the past, I'm sure we'll do it again, we even had a little daily guidebook that we made that you could slip in your pocket so that every day you knew where we were going, and here's a couple of facts about that site, here's a couple of Bible verses that you could read in advance. And so we're really excited about it, and I hope you guys are too. And like Lowell mentioned, this is open to people beyond just Lord of Life and Resurrection Lutheran Church. So if you have family and friends, feel free to let them know, share it on social media, email people, write them letters, whatever you want to do. Having a big group is actually a lot of fun. It really is fun to get to know people throughout the process, yeah, it's a great time. So if you have any questions, again, Tony said contact him and his people. You absolutely can. Contact Lowell and I as well. We'd love to talk to you about the trip. So let's close in prayer. God, we give you thanks for this opportunity to come here and to hear about an opportunity to walk in the place where your son Jesus walked, to be in the place where the Jewish faith was nurtured and has grown throughout history, a place where descendants of Abraham have called home for so many generations. We are excited about the opportunity to walk in those places, to have your story come alive in our lives. Be with us this day, ignite in our hearts. Even if we are not able to go on the trip, continue to ignite in our hearts a desire to get to know you deeper each and every day. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.